Well, good evening, everybody. How we doing out there? Blair Nightingale here with Market Monday. This is the kickoff to another week here on Tradeway TV. If you guys don't know, we do this every Monday. We got programming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all kinds of stuff coming up. Tonight, of course, we get to look at the market itself. I've kind of got a new habit here where I'm starting off. I want to show you guys a little bit of what's going on in the market at the start of the program. And then we're going to dive into something tonight. 3 questions to ask yourself before every trade. Okay. We're going to go a little deeper with that tonight, right? I've given some stuff in the past. You got to have where you're getting in, where you're getting out, where you're going to sell. Now, for some of us who've been doing that, it seems really basic. Most people don't do that. Most people don't do that. We're going to go further than that tonight. 3 questions to ask yourself before you enter every trade. Of course, if you are with us tonight, good evening. Happy to have you here. Good that you're with us. I appreciate you guys being on. As always, Facebook friends, YouTube friends, you can comment in the comment box, questions, anything, right? I'd love to have that while we're on here on the broadcast. I mentioned, let's get this guy up here, right? We just had, now I'm going to do, let's see, right here. Okay. So here we've got the market running like this, right? This is this steep incline we've been in. And of course, we've decidedly broken that. This is not updated because I do this stream on a different browser than I typically do it on. And Charts by Tradeway saves it in the browser. Now we've got this guy. Okay. That's where we've come from. These bottoms and in here. But this isn't just floating in the middle of nowhere. We mentioned to our students last week, we got to watch these moving averages, 100-day, 200-day moving average area. And that is where the market came into. And I'd say up to about noon today, we got a really nice rip higher on a lot of stocks. Starting to see some profit taking here at the end of the day, back half of the day. So what we do here at Tradeway is we're technical traders. We're technical traders. We use price action to give us a way to assess risk, momentum, pivot points, and then we exploit that information to take trades with certain probabilities over time, right? This is how we make this work. I said to one of the other coaches here at Tradeway, I guess this is probably only an hour ago, people can do more in the markets than they probably think they can do. Most people don't know a lot about this. They can do more in the markets than they probably think they can do. But at the same time, there is a journey to dialing it in and controlling ourselves that should not be done alone, okay? That is one of the big things about what we do here at Tradeway. It's not just that we get information on how a trade works or how to build a certain kind of strategy, an iron condor, or a broken wing butterfly, or whatever it is, but that we actually learn who we are and how we engage with the markets. So with that said, I want to give you some thoughts tonight on 3 questions to ask yourself before you enter every trade, because I believe that if you do ask these questions, they're going to help you be a better trader, okay? And these questions may be ones you're asking, and then you go, okay, this is confirmation, this is affirmation, but also, I may not be asking these at all. Right? And you want to be asking these. So that is where we're going to go from here. All right. Questions to ask yourself. Number 1, this came up today, earlier today. Now, I've asked this question before, and I've had many talks. In fact, I have an entire course here at Tradeway regarding this, but it did come up today because I still find myself catching things in myself as a trader. If you've heard me on here before, I really like to break down trading into 3 components. There is the car, the road conditions, and the driver. Car, road conditions, driver. The car is your trading system, right? I just said we're technical traders. It's the strategy you're using, right? It's the patterns you're using. It's the risk management you're using. It's the actual strategy that you use to say that's a good opportunity, that's not a good opportunity, right? That's the difference. But that's only what's happening in our system. The road conditions are what's happening in the overall market, in the indexes, like we just looked at on the S&P 500, right? How clear is the price action in the indexes right now? Is it muddy? Is it foggy? Is it rainy, right? Following the analogy, or is it clear? Like if I throw this up here, right? This move up in here, I've been telling students for the last couple of weeks, made a nice higher low, a nice higher low, a nice higher low, and then it failed. Okay. So we had consistent price action, right? Some price action looks really consistent in hindsight, right? Some price action feels more consistent in the present. That's ideal times for stock trading. Now, remember, we don't need to trade the markets only upwards. We can also do downwards or neutral applications because we have options skills that give us that kind of flexibility. We spent a lot of time looking at different options, strategies, and how that works in the last 5 or so sessions on Market Monday, right? But consistency in the indexes, that's your road conditions. Okay. So your road conditions are important because you need to decide how fast am I going to drive, right? I tell people all the time, I grew up in the snow. So for me, when it snowed 5 inches last week in California and nobody wanted to go anywhere, to me, that was like, well, seems a little much ado about nothing, right? Because why? Because I know how to drive in that. And the more we practice what we're doing in the markets, the more it's the same thing. We get confident with road conditions. Now, do I drive the same when it's icy, foggy, snowing, right? Dark versus day, even that, right? No, I don't. I drive differently. You should, right? You don't have to, but you should. And as you learn to do that, you adjust that. So there's a car, right? We want to make sure the brakes work on a car. That's risk management. We want to make sure we can see out the window, right? But how fast does it go? How safe is it? Right? How good are the brakes? How good is the handling? That's your car. Your road conditions. Okay, your road conditions are how fast I'm going to drive. Some days the roads are so bad, I'm just not going to drive at all. Okay? Some days that's not the case. It's a sunny summer day and you can open it up, right? There's never a guarantee in the markets, but there's certainly times that are more clear than others. And we use pattern primarily to decipher that, okay? But what's the third component I haven't brought into the conversation yet? Of course, that's the driver themselves. The driver themselves is actually more important than the car or the road conditions, okay? The car is important. The road conditions are important. The driver is the most important thing. You are the driver of your trading account. Okay. You are the driver of your trading account. So we have to actually be trained as a driver, not just get the keys to a car. Okay. And the system is really those keys. Just getting a brokerage account, that's like just walking around in traffic, right? We need an actual vehicle to do this, but we've got to train the driver. So the first thing that we ought to ask ourselves, and as I mentioned, this is something popped up even for me because I'm still a driver in progress, right? What is my current emotional level? That is the first thing. It's a question to ask yourself. Some of us have a checklist we go through, pre-trade checklist, maybe mental. You may actually have a checklist, but you're asking yourself, hold on a second. Where am I at right now? And here's a question I ask myself. How much FOMO am I feeling right now? FOMO, for those who don't know, fear of missing out. How much FOMO am I feeling right now? Because I don't want to be under the influence of that thing. And as I mentioned, I have an entire course that goes over trading emotions and psychology, because this is such a huge part of training the driver. But there are practical ways to lower fear of loss, fear of missing out, right? There's all kinds of different fears that can play into a trader's journey. But for us tonight, what we really want to do is just gauge, take a breath. How emotional am I feeling? Because I want to recognize that if emotions in anything in life spill over enough, they will birth action. And we want to be in a place where we have our emotions impacting us as little as possible. It's not something I think we can remove from trading entirely, but we do just want to check in with ourselves, right? So I was looking at the markets today and I hit a spot where I noticed, hey, there's a stock I'm looking at. I've told myself I'm going to wait until the last hour of the trading session today before I even do anything. Let me remove the chart here. The last hour of the trading session today, because this stock is moving strongly, but I can see where the index is at, and I want to make sure we don't get profit taking before the end of the day. Okay. Well, now at the end, now it's 6:09 Central Time. There was plenty of profit taking at the end of the day, and I would have been in a losing position right now. But I saw this nice green candlestick on there on support, moving up nicely at support. Nice company, nice pattern, moving up off support. I'm looking at it, but the road conditions, not very good. Not very good. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm patient. Now, there are definitely some different points to make here about when to be patient, because sometimes we need to just act on our edge. But when I'm feeling FOMO, fear, I'm going to miss this. I got to go now against my better judgment, the skills and the trading plan that I have. I'm going to break that rule and just go for it. And what do I say? Trading is never guessing, gambling, or going for it, right? So I'm not just going to go for it, but why do I want to? Oh, I want to because as I see that stock advancing, I'm thinking I'm going to miss out. Acting on my edge decisively is one thing. Feeling like I'm under the influence of fear and I'm going to miss out is something different entirely. I was able to recognize that by just checking in for a second. This isn't just woo-woo head stuff. I'm checking where my emotions are at, because emotions play into trading so deeply, right? I was able to say, you know what? I'm sticking to my original plan. I'm going to wait into the day. And I was able to approach the market differently and wait. And that particular position, well, I never actually took the position, that particular stock, it rejected and failed. Now, maybe this particular stock will do well tomorrow, okay? But I'm going to say, I'm glad that I waited on that and checked in. And it was the checking in that made me realize, oh, I've got a lot of FOMO right now. And I say that because I have recognized myself, guys. I've had to live with myself for 38 years. I know me by now, and I certainly know me in the markets. I tend to get that fear of missing out, right? So when I recognize that, I can begin to change. So that's a very important question to ask yourself before you trade. You may ask yourself this, guys, on a level of 1 to 10, on an emotional level, my mental health, physical health, emotional health, are we above a 6 to 10? 1 to 10, are we above a 6? You can make it a 7. You can make it a 5, right? I wouldn't recommend any lower than that. When you're not in a good place, then there is definitely more risk going and engaging the markets. We want to be in a place where our constitution as individuals, as drivers, are not under the influence, right? Under the influence of things that don't help us: extreme fatigue, extreme stress, fear, right? Pressure, what's impatience. And FOMO is a form of impatience, but also typically traders can be like, I need to make money now and I'm just going to go after it, right? So that's going to take us to our next point, number two. Number two, first one, check in. Number two is, do I have a specific plan? Do I have a specific plan? Okay. Now, I've talked extensively on here on how to break down a plan. And I even mentioned tonight a very basic plan for you guys can be, where am I getting in? Where am I getting out? Where am I stopping out? I know what I'm risking, right? I know what I'm putting in the play. I know how much I'll lose if the trade does not work. And I know how much I'll make if the trade does. Okay. And I have positive risk return, and I use the technicals in order to decide what those levels are going to be and whether or not the trade is worth it. And then I play the numbers over time. This is how trading works in this way, right? So I want to make sure, do I have a plan? But the greater point I'm making here is, am I engaging with the market consistently to apply the process that I have learned? Is the process that I've learned the goal for me as a business owner? And when you open a trading account, you are a business owner. When you open a trading account, you are a business owner. Okay. So as the CEO, CFO, COO of your trading business, are you pursuing good practices, right? Are you pursuing good process, or are you going after profit? I'm trading with the primary focus of profit. It's not necessarily my root system, it's my fruit system, meaning I'm chasing the fruit instead of the root. Get the roots in place and then let the fruits come as a result of that. I'm not just being wordy and creative here. I'm saying that when we do process consistently, right, that's what gives us the best opportunities. When I am chasing profit, it's going to partner with what I said in part number one, and we end up in trades that really aren't as good as they could be, and we build bad habits. The opposite of that, of course, is I have a very specific plan, and when the conditions for that plan are present, that's process. I can execute that. Here's a good example, you guys. I gave you number one. Ask yourself, how do I feel right now? I'm not just being woo-woo, right? Weird. I'm saying, as a trader, am I feeling greed or fear? Am I feeling impatient? Am I rushing? Am I scared of failure, right? Am I high because my last 5 trades were profitable and I think I can't lose, it's going to work. And I'm now, instead of doing 10 shares, I'm going to do 1,000 shares. Or instead of 1 contract, I'm going to do 10. Instead of 5, I'm going to do 20, right? Whoa, wait a second. 5 to 20, that's a long way. Okay. If we're showing consistent process, profitability, and we want to scale up because we see a good opportunity, how about we suggest going from 5 contracts to 7 contracts, or 6 contracts, or even maybe 8 contracts, but 5 to 15, or even double, right? Some people could handle that jump, but just know that's going to add a new layer of complexity. And if we're feeling very confident, which is a good thing in trading, there is another challenge we have to tackle, because now, instead of fear blocking out information so that we can't see important information, right? That happens. That's actually a neurological fact. Fear closes our field of vision. Well, when we are overconfident, we actually start thinking we can just take a ton of risk and it's going to be a home run every time. Right? So emotions get in there. So what do? Well, we've got to be willing to have a process. Oh, let me do number one that Blair said, which was, how am I feeling right now? Feeling like I can't lose. I feel like I can't lose. Okay, good. Love the confidence. because you're not going to be afraid to get in. You're going to be very fluid, but don't take too much risk as a result of that, right? This is just an example of how this plays out for traders. I almost hear nobody talking about some of this stuff, right? It's so, so important. So, number one, what's my current emotional level? But two, do I have a specific plan? In other words, am I more committed to process, right, than I am to profit? Not because we don't want to profit, we want to profit, but we understand that that is the fruit of process. Be a good business manager of your trading business and let the rest come as a result. Your dollars are your employees. They're your soldiers. You're sending them out there. Don't send them out there to die, right? Give them good policy, good process. Give it time and let the fruit of that manifest in your P&L, your equity curve. Trust me, I have learned this lesson so many times. This is the most important thing, okay? Number three, okay? What did I learn in my last trade? Now, I said here 3 questions to ask yourself before every trade. How about before every trading day, even before every trading session? We could go back and say, what did I learn in my last trading session? What did I learn in my last trade? Blair, I don't even remember my last trade. Okay, that's a good thing to learn. Blair, I wrote down the numbers. I know where I got in, I know where I got out, but I don't know what I really learned. I just kind of moved on. Okay, that's another good realization, right? What you learned in your last trade then is that you're not paying attention to good information that comes from studying your last trade. Like what? Well, why did you get into that trade? Why did you get out when you got out? Why did you put in the amount of money you put in? Are there some things you've learned since you did that trade that you would do differently next time? These are questions that we're going to ask a lot in their coaching process here at Tradeway. See, the coaching here at Tradeway isn't just going, here, Susie, here's how to do a debit spread, right? No. It's how do you drive the car? How do you learn to read the road conditions? How do you know how those two combine and to consistently do that over time? That's the difference here, right? That's the point. But what I learned in my last trade is pretty hard to review if I don't record what I'm doing. And this is a reminder I've needed, right? It's a reminder a lot of us have needed, like, oh, I did it and then I stopped, or I stopped and I started, but I stopped again. What did you learn in your last trade? Maybe there's some habits that are playing out over time. And in the moment, you're just kind of on autopilot, right? And you just keep doing it, but you're not really sure, well, where's that coming from, right? If we review what's going on, not just in our P&L, not just the numbers, I got into Netflix at this price and I got out at that price and I traded Apple here, but actually this is why I got in, this is why I got out. And these are some of the habits that start to emerge from that. Looks like it cut me off there, guys. Sorry about that, guys. We just went blank for a second. That's a very important thing to review. So let me just tell you again, what's my current emotional level? Okay. This isn't just for no reason. I'm telling you. In fact, by the way, I'll just tell you this right now. It's very rare that I would ever walk off camera on here, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, a great trading book that I definitely recommend. This is not a trading system, okay? It's a trading coach who's passed on now, but he was an amazing individual in the trading world and how he was training people to trade better. The book is called Trading in the Zone. It is personally my favorite trading book. Now, I will say, full disclosure, I've not read 30 trading books, okay? So you can keep that in mind, but it is the best one I've read. It's not a trading system. It's not stocks. It's not crypto. It's not Forex. It's not any of that, right? It's specifically about you and me. So that's why I'm big on this stuff. Most people understand, I'm going to say, the mechanics of trading when they learn a system fairly quickly. Okay. Most people do fairly quickly. We all learn things at different paces, but that part's not going to take that long. Okay. What is typically going to take long, and I would say it's going to take forever if we don't pay attention to it. If the people teaching us to trade are not highlighting this area of it, yes, we have to learn the psychology. We have to learn the personal management, the personal responsibility involved in trading, right? The market will give us perfect feedback every time. If we want to engage in the markets in a way that's not effective, it will remind us as many times as we're willing to do that it's not effective. But when we learn some of these skills and we put these 3 things in place that I can ask myself, it begins to transform the conversation, if you will, that I'm having with the market, right? It puts more of the responsibility on me, but that lowers fear and gives me the tools I need to manage my trading business in the way that has a solid root system. And as I mentioned, you get that root system in place, that fruit system can begin to work for you. And that's, of course, the goal. Tina says, great coaching. Thanks for the book recommendation. Yeah. This is Mark Douglas, by the way. I don't get a kickback on the, it's nothing like that. I just think it's a great resource for folks. He has 2 books. Personally, no offense, I'd skip the first one. I'd go with the one I said, right? Yeah. So the PDF is in the chat as well on YouTube. You can go out and you can get it there. I will just say, I don't know the legalities of the PDF, who owns it now since he's passed away, how that all works. I'm just saying, good book for you guys. It's one to read and go back and read and just take these 3 things, guys, right? Take these 3 things and keep it really, really simple. Some things in the book get a little bit complex. Keep it really simple. What's my current emotional level? Just check in on that, right? Here's another practical example, right? I heard a trader say this the other day. I think it's a good example, right? She's a day trader. She stopped out of 2 trades, okay? And she has a rule. When she's trading, day trading, she stops out twice in a day. That's it. Trading day is over, okay? You don't have to adopt that specific rule. You can have your own rule. But for her, and I would agree with this, you start to get into a spiral, taking a loss, right? Even when you're a professional, taking a loss can be emotional. And some people handle it better than others. That's why we each can implement our own rules. But for her, that's it. The day's over. It cuts off. You begin to get in an emotional spiral. Is it because this person doesn't know what they're doing? They need more technical training? Not necessarily. It's because trading involves risk. And we can manage that risk to our benefit, but we've got to know some of the rules that manage the emotions, okay? So you can have a plan of where to buy, where to sell, and where to stop out, but there's more to the management of yourself that, again, I don't think gets talked about enough. In fact, I would be so bold to say there are probably a lot of traders out there that are watching this tonight, and you may think what you need is another technical indicator, is another setup, is another skill set, another market. I'm going to do futures. I'm going to do crypto. I'm going to do Forex. I'm going to change my time frame. I'm going to day trade. I'm going to get another trading screen. And you know what? All of those things in the right application can actually be awesome, can create tremendous breakthrough. That is true. I don't discount that. But they will not create breakthrough. They will not have a tremendously positive effect if the issue that you are experiencing as a trader is not actually those things, but it's the personal, emotional, mental management. We can't fix this problem with this solution. Okay? It's actually, and I was going to say, I'll be so bold to say that I think there are people out there who would be infinitely better traders if you'll spend some time on this piece for a while. Not going after the profit yet, but getting this piece in place. That could be the thing that really helps you take off to the next level. Okay, guys? That said, this is Market Monday. My opinion, this is one of my favorite topics when it comes to trading. It's one of the things in trading I've had to work on the most. I learned the mechanics pretty fast. This part didn't come as quickly, right? And you're always working with yourself, right? It's very revealing. Here at Tradeway, we believe this is actually a pretty interesting discipleship model. That's not primarily why we do it here, and yet that is a powerful part of what we do because our hearts can be so tied to our provision. So it reveals a lot of things, and that can be a very interesting process. But the point is some of us think it's the mechanics, but really maybe we need to take some time and look at the driver a little bit longer. So this being one of my favorite topics, this I would say is one of my favorite Market Mondays we've done in a while because I love this stuff. And I believe it is one of the things that helps people so much because, law of diminishing returns, guys. We learn system, and we ignore driver. And then a little bit of time spent on driver can have a big effect. So that said, guys, appreciate you being on. As always, thanks so much. We're back tomorrow on Tip Tuesday right here. If you're with us tonight, like us on Facebook, and we'll send you an update every time we're going to go live. If you're with us on the YouTube channel, of course, you can ring that little bell and subscribe, and we will notify you whenever we're going live on Tradeway TV. Marty says, I needed to hear this. Marty, I got to say, you said that tonight, but a lot of other people are thinking it. I promise you, because I've worked with enough people now to know this is the thing. And you know what? Traders, I believe, learn a system, and when they don't know why they have a lot of fear and still struggle with a system, they can silently suffer. They can silently suffer because they want to make it work better than it is, but this is often the issue. This is often the issue. Not for everybody. I have seen people, they're just wired a certain way, and this is not a problem. They just go in and they just get it done. They don't have a problem jumping in too early. They don't have a problem breaking rules. They don't have a problem taking too much risk. They don't have a problem taking not enough risk, right? There's always little things, but they seem to have more of a wiring. Most people need some help in this area. So Marty said it, but so many of us, it's true. We can relate to you, Marty. So I understand that you needed to hear this, and I appreciate you being on here. Of course, everybody tonight tuning in, thank you so much. If you know somebody who needs to see this, send it on over to them because I'd love to share it with them as well. Of course, we'll be back next week right here, same time, same bat channel for those of you who are old enough on here tonight to know what that means. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you next time. Good night.